Thank you guys for coming and listening to our stories. My name is Ericka, and I'm a licensed massage therapist in the state of New York. And I volunteered after the towers came down with the fire department at Ground Zero. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is basically that story. It involves my dad and how he inspired me to do this work and to just help people and be as gracious as I could in everything I do. So here goes. Growing up, my dad was my world, like most dads. He was the tallest person I knew, the fastest person I knew, the smartest person I knew. He was basically my Superman. He always kind of walked out of the house very smartly dressed. Pressed shirt, pressed pants, dress shoes. He thought sneakers were abhorrent, so he never wore them except to play sport, and didn't understand why his kids wanted to live in them. He was a man of great faith and endless generosity. And when I was 17, he was diagnosed with congestive heart failure and had to get a heart transplant, which he did. And when the doctors told us that his new heart would fail in about 7 to 8 years, I asked him, would he get another transplant? And I remember he looked at me and he said with this great booming voice that he had, "No, darling, I would never take that gift from another person." My dad passed away January 5th, 1998, and I was devastated. My brother called me when it happened, and when he said that Dad had passed away, I prayed that it wasn't true, forgetting my father's cardinal rule of prayer, which is you pray for attributes like strength, courage, perseverance. You don't pray for things. And I think I prayed for the last time at his funeral. I was pretty sure God had forsaken me, and I was just lost. My father inspired me to do the work that I do, and he died while I was training to become a massage therapist. But once I graduated and got my license, I picked myself up and just decided to do everything I could to help people as much as possible, which is how he lived his life. So 3 years later, it's 2001, I'm working as a massage therapist, following in his footsteps, helping people. And on 9/11, I'm actually giving a massage as the attacks unfold, ending that session as the South Tower collapses. And about 2 days later, because I couldn't sit at home and do nothing, I came into the city and I went to the school where I got my training, where I worked at the time, and I'm currently the dean. And I said, where do we go to help? What do they need us to do? And so I was sent to the West Side Highway Relief Center, and I spent about half a day there organizing the massage therapy team, massaging and stretching all of these tired bodies that had been working on the pile and around it, not sleeping, not eating, and we were just trying to keep them going. And after a few hours, one of the other team leaders called me and said, we need to go into Ground Zero. They need us at the 10 firehouse. And so she explained to our group that the fire department was going to call on us and that they would like massage therapists everywhere that the fire department was to support these folks who had lost 343 of their brothers and sisters. And so I was really excited and filled with this adrenaline rush at the idea that we were being called on. But I was really concerned because I didn't know what we were going to face at Ground Zero. I was a little concerned about how we'd be perceived, and I was really afraid that we wouldn't be able to help. So we start this long journey to Ground Zero, and the West Side Highway and Ground Zero are not that far apart. But on this day, it took a long time. There were a lot of stops and checkpoints along the way. And as we got more and more delayed, my excitement really started to turn into a great fear of what was coming. We get to our last stop, which is Pace University, which is also in Lower Manhattan, and we're waiting there. And I'm starting to get so anxious, I can literally hear my heart beating, when you can hear it pounding in your ears. And I start looking around at the office that we're in. It was some administrative office in the university, And you could tell that the people who worked at those desks had just grabbed all of their belongings and fled for their lives. I mean, they left nothing, just pushpins stuck into the wall, and that's it. And then I realized that I was having some trouble breathing as I was starting to get more anxious. So an Army Ranger shows up with an automatic machine gun, dressed all in black, with very clear directions to follow him and do exactly what he says. So we do that, and we start walking down the middle of Broadway, and there's no one in sight. It's dark, but it was really like 12 o'clock in the daytime, but it was really gray and dark. It was really quiet, and it was almost like you could hear the wind blowing through the skyscrapers, down these side streets. And the air is really thick with all of this ash and dust, and you can actually taste it. And as we get closer to Ground Zero, I look down a side street, and now it's right in front of me. I see pieces of the towers, the tridents on their side, smoke from all these fires that are burning, and very large machinery kind of grinding through all this metal. And the unknown is now very clear to me, and I'm absolutely terrified about what's coming. We keep walking, approaching Liberty Street, which is where the Ten House is, and still is today. And I'm kind of caught off guard and pulled out of my stupor by this voice that I'm hearing. And I stop to listen, and I realize that it's my voice. And I'm praying, please, God, give us the strength to do our work well. Give us the courage to face whatever's in front of us. And please keep us all safe. And we walked into that firehouse and were welcomed with open arms. All of these fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters welcomed us into their family from the moment they met us. They let us try and ease some of their physical and emotional pain. They literally gave us the shirts off their backs when we were cold. And I guess the best thing is they told us their stories. And they told us the stories of people that they had lost that day. And we all got to share in those moments with each other. I miss my dad even more at that time. He was a source of great strength for me, and not having him was hard. But I was almost glad he wasn't alive, because I think the level of tragedy would have really been hurtful to him with so much loss. But I took great solace in knowing that he was in heaven, doing his job, welcoming, comforting, helping all these new lost souls, while I was down here doing mine. And I knew that I was going to be able to do whatever I was asked to, and that I wasn't scared anymore, and that we would get all of the work that was in front of us done. As hard as that was, but we would be able to overcome what had happened. So I thank him today, and I thank you all for listening.